We will proceed with the treatment on one side of the face. It doesn't matter from which side you start, and it actually doesn't really matter from which part you start, either forehead or one cheek or the other. You can even mark different zones such as forehead, cheek area on the other side of the face, and the chin. Or it can be the whole side of the face, including half of the forehead, one cheek, and half of the chin. So the principle is the same. We proceed with the same treatment, the same technique. We switch the head of the machine to one side in order to restart it, then to the other side in order to define the amount of the injection. So here you can see I'm turning it one side, then I'll turn the other side. So that our machine is prepared, I am just drying the surface of the skin, and the capsule area which is attached to the skin must be dry as well. And here you can see a little bit different technique. So basically I'm putting the capsule in a kind of a pocket of the skin. So on the forehead, it's not really possible to create such a little pocket because there's not enough loose skin, there's not enough fat, it's really flat. And here I am kind of wrap the capsule head with the skin. Like this, I ensure that there is the least amount of product loss possible. You can see little blood dots that indicates that the product was injected properly, that it went through the skin. The blood drop doesn't appear immediately, but if you wait a couple of seconds, you will see that some blood appears on the surface. You can simply wipe it off. Otherwise, it might get dry and then it will be more difficult to remove it later. So you can just wipe off the skin during the treatment. Otherwise, you can do it in the end of the treatment, the whole face, but it might be more difficult. You will have to rub the skin a bit more. It will take more time. Now, if your client has a lot of visible blood vessels, bluish or reddish ones, you shouldn't really inject on top of that surface where the blood vessel is seen. You might cause a hematoma, which is a blue mark. Some smaller bruises might appear as well. Often it's difficult to avoid it. So let's just recall the two techniques used. So the first one is flat, where the capsule top is placed flat on the surface of the skin. The shot is performed and we are waiting for a couple of seconds or making a wiggle movement for the product to be absorbed better. And the second technique will be a pocket technique, where we surround the capsule head with the skin while creating a little pocket. Like this, we avoid the loss of the product at the maximum. And this technique will be used in the places where the skin is more loose, where there is more fat as well. Otherwise, it will be not possible to perform it if the skin is too tight, such as on the forehead, for example. Another situation where we will use the pocket technique is when there's no flat surface, like no bone, and we don't have on what to put the head of the capsule. There's no support under it. As you can see, after each shot or after every second shot, I try to wipe off the blood dots because, as I have mentioned before, it might be too difficult to rub them off immediately if you will be waiting for too long. To wipe off the blood excess, you can use a cotton pad which is moistened in the skin disinfecting product or simply with water. You can also use a gauze which would ease the process of cleaning the skin surface. So let's also speak about the advantages and disadvantages of the treatment itself. So the advantages would be that it's a great way to use injection techniques without needles. If you are not allowed, legally allowed in your country to use needles in your treatments at your work, this device is absolutely perfect for the mesotherapy. There are no needles used and the product is injected in the deeper layers of the skin. Also, you can use the same substances, the same serums, which you would inject with a needle. The main disadvantages would be that the treatment is quite time consuming because you have to turn the device back and forth quite often. Also, the loss of the product is a bit higher in comparison to the treatment when using a needle. So the product loss happens mainly when you are adjusting the dose and just after you've performed the injection. So here we have finished treating one side of the face and we are wiping off the rest of the blood dots and we will continue with the other side.